YouTube is Brad Phillips, the Eratix 3D FF860. That's a flat foam plane. This thing is super fun. It's a 3D plane, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna fly it for you real quick before the sun disappears, throttle cuts off, and here we go. That's insane. Okay, we're gonna go behind us here. Gosh, that is really hard to see where it is. Okay, camera crew.
Yeah.
We're going over here.
Okay.
Oh, look, the moon, so much better for visibility. Oh, that is amazing. We have a little bit of wind at our back. Look how easy it is to hammerhead that thing. So cool. That is amazing. Boy, that thing will disappear. Orientation will just snap. Okay, trying to get a little bit of trimming on the elevator. It's kind of a challenging one to trim. Okay, perfect. Oh, by the way, in the unbox build radio setup on this plane, we show how to update the firmware on your NX, which is something that I kind of forgot about. Boy, this thing is like way capable out here. A lot of wind right here, just so you know. It's so much fun to fly these little 3D flat foam planes, and I've never really done one recently. I did one a long time ago, and just full disclosure, we're flying on 850 milliamp 3S Gen 2 packs from Spectrum. And yes, they are working great, but the thing is, I kind of wish I had the recommended 600. We just happen to not have it because we haven't ever gotten one, because I think there might be a stock issue on them. So now that being said, if you guys are interested in getting one of these for yourself, definitely check our link. We're gonna have them available for pre-order, and guess what? They have them coming in, I think, right away after we release this footage. Within a day or two, they should be shipping the first batch, which is amazing and really unusual. So definitely snap them up if it's something you want. I think the price is reasonable given the circumstances of what we're dealing with now. And yes, this is a bind and fly, which means you don't have to really do a lot of assembly. I mean, there's obviously some assembly, but the thing is, you can definitely fly this within 25 minutes of unboxing it, I would say. And that would not be an exaggeration. And that's a Brian Phillips 25 minutes, no less. Now also, by the way, safe. In safe, there are limited bank angles, pitch. Back 2 steps, please. Thank you, toward the runway, 2 steps. Perfect, right there. So I'm in safe, so when I let go of the sticks, it just auto levels. And I have a warning right now. I don't know what that is, but it's giving me a green screen, whatever that means. Oh, that is so sweet looking. Okay, so out of safe now. Oh yeah, it's saying my battery's low. Okay, well, I must have picked the wrong battery. But either way, I'm gonna just keep flying for a minute longer. I love that you can kick that whole tail around. That is so sweet. We were gonna lose light before that anyway. So guys, as you can see, the thing is just a rock solid flyer. And it's so much fun to fly these flat foam planes, especially if you're better than me at doing hammerheads and the sort. And I definitely need to stay over here for lighting reasons. 2 steps toward the edge. Thank you. I'm gonna shoot the moon here, obviously.
Time remaining, 1 minute.
1 minute remaining, and we are, by the way, full disclosure, I think I might have grabbed a battery that was not totally topped off. So I apologize for the short flight. There is no tail wheel, so one thing to keep in mind too when you're taxiing. Oh, by the way, we set up thrust reverse. Okay, so let's show you thrust reverse. I'm gonna get up here. Didn't really get a chance to do much with it. Let's see if we can slow the plane down from altitude like I wanted to. Okay. There's thrust reverse. Oh, that is so stinking cool. There's so many cool things you can do, folks, but I'm gonna be out of battery here in just a second. I'm already getting my critically low alarm, which goes to a green screen now, which is super cool. What a beautiful, beautiful sunset. By the way, you will lose your orientation so fast if you let that thing silhouette on you. I would not recommend it. Good practice plane for upside down flight. It's super, super easy to do upside down flight. I mean, I'm like basically hands off the sticks. I'm not even looking. Isn't that crazy? So if you want to learn to fly upside down, this is a great, really super forgiving way to do it. And the thing is, I don't do a lot of upside down flying, but when you do fly upside down, this would be a fitting way to do it. And tons of power to flip you out of it when you're done. And just loving the way this thing flies. It's so much fun. And obviously, as we get into daylight savings, a little deeper here, next thing you know, we're gonna have 4 o'clock, 4:30, it's gonna be getting dark, which is disgusting, and I'm not looking forward to it. But it is the reality of where we live here in the Midwest. I don't know about you guys, but that's where we are. What a cool, cool plane. Just chilling here. Don't mind me, just chillaxing. And I know you guys can make it look better than I can, but the thing is, I still love the fact that I get a chance to show it off. So definitely check it out in the links in the video description below. We actually had some inside footage that we'll be sharing with you as well. And so definitely hang tight. You can either see that or we might have that in a separate video. I'm not sure, it kind of depends on our upload schedule, how that's gonna get released. But we really, really hope you guys will check this one out. We love fixed wing here on Brian Phillips RC. And I'm not even that good of a 3D pilot. And look at this thing. It just does it, folks. And that's still with, I think, 15% expo there. So you can check out our unbox build radio setup as well. And that'll help you guys set up what you want to do. And then thrust reverse if you need it. Now, I must say, I'm surprised how little I needed thrust reverse on this plane. I thought for sure we were gonna need it. The other thing is, I find that the prop size is actually a pretty good prop size. We flew this inside of a gymnasium with 4 gymnasiums, so it's too long, and they were sandwiched together. And I only ran into 1 steel pole one time. So if you haven't already seen that, stay tuned, it's super fun. And yes, I am using my telemetry, and yes, this thing goes to a green screen when you are at version 3.0717, I think is what it was. Yep. Might be 16. But either way, we were at 3.06 before something, and I can't remember the last digits. So we just updated it, and that is shown in our unbox build radio setup of the Eratix. And this is an 860 millimeter plane, so it's very small. It's easy to get in and out of a car. And it's, yes, it is using, it's got an AR630, which is nice because you have no external antenna. You wouldn't want an antenna flopping around getting in that prop. And I think that the thing would handle a bigger battery, but the thing is you just can't really get it in here because of this angle here. So I'm not sure if a guy could take and mount a battery on either side right at the CG and then put an extension cable up, or how that would work, being that they're smart batteries. Oh, and then also, of course, you can pretty much all day long, you can do this and hand launch it. And if you're a little bit more skilled pilot, you can do that and make it look a lot prettier. But also, I'm trying to keep the prop out of my camera. Pretty cool stuff, guys. Oh, and then one tip is when you're flying 3D and you start getting low voltage warnings, take them somewhat seriously, and this is why. Because when you have low voltage, you can't always get out of a hammerhead very good, because you end up blowing through a lot of battery to land like that when you've got the tail down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come around. Camera crew, could you pick a side, like go toward the garage for me? There you go, that's perfect. Then I've got a better chance at landing in front of us. So what I wanna do is I wanna bring it in here and I wanna see if I can land it kind of like right at our feet. So just be aware, don't be afraid of jumping. So that was a little rough, but I did want to land it right at our feet. And I want to show you guys just a couple more tricks, because look how long we've been flying. We're at 10.7 volts is the max. Yeah, 3.56 is pretty low, I should stop. So guys, this thing is super fun. Throttle cuts on and tested, by the way. And yes, I really enjoy flying it. I haven't done a lot of flat foam models over the course of my RC career, if you want to call it. But we did have a MiG 29 that we got from some random cell phone shop in the Mall of America, and it was a super fun thing, but it was also really ugly because by the time you were done flying it and building it, you were just destroying the thing all the time. This is really robust, it's strong, fairly easy assembly. Our biggest problem we had was getting the screws in because the tip on my screwdriver didn't want to mesh up with it very good. I think that's because we have Chinese screwdrivers and not Japanese screwdrivers, we've been told. So anyway, just love this thing. Really, really good aircraft. And yes, super, super fun. I think you definitely want to check it out. If flat foam is not your thing, I get it. I know that it's not going to be for everybody, but I thought it was going to be kind of lame-o, and then I flew it and I'm like, wow, that's super fun. So guys, don't just judge the book by the cover. See if you can get your buddy to let you fly it once or twice. You're going to find that it's a different flight experience. It's got an incredible flight envelope. I mean, I don't know if you could tell the roll rate, but it was insane. And yes, it opens up a whole nother plethora of choices that could come on Brian Phillips RC. So really exciting stuff. Definitely check it out. The Eratix from E-flite and Horizon Hobby. And then also, guys, NX8, I don't know if you noticed, but it's got tons of telemetry feedback, which is super nice. And of course, thrust reverse. We'll show you how to set it all up on our Unbox Build radio setup. So hopefully you guys will check that out if you're interested. And if not, and you want to just help support us because you enjoy the long format content that we bring here on Brian Phillips RC, definitely check below in the links. Patreon and PayPal is available. Special thanks to the Patreons and PayPals that are already with us. And we really appreciate you every month. We see it, we know it's coming in, and it's super, super cool that you guys are supporting us in that way. So thanks again. And then definitely, if you guys want to be part of that, check it out. Links right there at the top of the list. And if you don't like this plane, but you like other planes we've done, we get it. Everybody has different tastes. We have tons of planes down below. Or better yet, roll over to brianphillipsrc.com and you can check it out for yourself. We have thousands of videos. We'll direct you and give you some good advice. You can make up your own decisions, make up your own mind on whether or not you really like planes based on what we do. So thanks for watching, guys. So much more to come from Brian Phillips RC. Thanks for watching. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this. We're coming to you with something new and exciting. Look at this. This is the Eratix 860 3D FF, which stands for flat foamy. As you can see, it's flat. And you might notice a strange echo. That would be because we're inside of a gymnasium because the wind has been crazy. So we're gonna see how we do. Yes, this is our true Maiden. So we are a little bit concerned, and before I get into this, just in case it becomes crushed into many pieces, we have the AR630. This is a bind and fly, which means there's very limited assembly, avian motor, and avian ESC, which means we did set up thrust reverse, which is totally cool. So we'll demonstrate that before we start flying. Okay, so throttle cuts off, and we're gonna go ahead and show thrust reverse. Yes, okay. So safety first. You'll notice there's no tail dragger wheel, so just be aware of that. Okay, here we go. And I've never flown in this room before, but as you can see, so far we're doing pretty good. The AS3X is working great. And obviously the wake turbulence off of the aircraft has not become a huge issue yet, so we're just gonna see how quick we can get it down. As you can see, the 2 lengths of basketball court work out fine. Okay, so we'll get a little bit crazier here. Now this is a 3S pack, 850 milliamp hour, and I think I need to be a little bit more tail heavy to do what I want to do, which is hammerhead and all that stuff. So let's put it down and thrust reverse to stop. In fact, we'll see, the thrust reverse doesn't give you much turning authority on the ground. So what I want to do is just show you that because you got to get wind across the surfaces. So we're going to bring it right back up. Throttle cuts on, and we're going to check our CG. Guys, if you're looking for the CG, the manual was somewhat not clear on this. So what we decided to do was to test CG like this. It worked pretty good, but what I'd like to do is get this battery, being that it's a little bit bigger, all the way back into this bulkhead. So that's what we're gonna try now. Not a big fan of the Velcro on the batteries, as you guys know from watching our channel. So we're just gonna slide it back like that, and the next thing you know, hopefully this thing will do all the tricks that we want to do. And I want to get this thing as tail heavy as possible so that I can really command the pitch easier. It's going to wake up our elevator, which is what we want. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I set up dual rates and expo on this, which you can check out in the Unbox Build radio setup. And I'm just going to click and show you that right now. So So this is the way I set it up, all 3 settings. So we're 15, then 25, and then 40. So I'm gonna go up to the lowest setting, keep my 100% rates. And by the way, you can run negative expo on Spectrum products, which will actually make the center of the sticks more sensitive. Okay, so here we go. Let's try this. Should make a little bit of a difference. Feels very controllable. As you can see, you can fly it really slow if you want. I'd like to get a little bit more trim, but I think what I'm dealing with is P factor issues. So it definitely will do all the hammerheading you want, even with the CG almost spot on. And I am no 3D pilot, as you can tell from the lack of skill in this flight. But the cool thing is, it's very easy to control, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a plane that I could fly indoors if I want, or outdoor. And as you can tell from this environment, it's definitely not huge. So camera crew, what are you thinking about this thing, other than you're scared for your life?
I'm not scared for my life, but...
Well, you trust me more than I trust me then, evidently.
I don't know. I'm surprised that it's doing this well in here. It's not a very big space, actually.
No, and this is 860 millimeters, so it's probably on the edge of my skills. But as you can see, how quick it'll get away from you. As quick as it gets away from you, it will snap itself right back into position. Now, what I want to do is I want to try to do a knife edge. But as you can see, avoiding furniture and the like definitely leaves for some undesirable issues. And then also we've got those basketball hoops that hang down. But what I want to try to do is I just can't get it to flatten out long enough.
Right.
And that's part of the problem, is if you fly inside, it will really hone your skills. Of course, like I said, I haven't honed my skills enough, as you can tell. And of course, you can flip it upside down. It's very ambidextrous on its flight performance. And then if you get yourself confused, there is safe on this plane. So what I'm gonna do is go into safe, but I gotta get myself a little bit of room because it'll widen our entire turning radius. Okay, so there's safe. Okay, yeah, definitely is gonna limit your throws, so you need to be very mindful before you get into safe. And the thing is, if you fly with just the really, 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 really high alpha, you can slow the thing down to next to no speed. Now also, if you're in a very tight environment, like what I'd like to do is let's go down to the other basketball court and we'll just go ahead and try this. I'm gonna just throttle cut it right now. And let's show them the telemetry before we get too far. So this thing does have active telemetry, so you can see exactly what your voltages are as you're flying, and you can see we have about only 33% of our battery has been consumed, which is incredible on an 850 milliamp 3S pack. That's not very much battery to have used so far. Also, I wish I was a better pilot for this type of aircraft because I feel like you could do some amazing things with it. And I'm gonna show you a hand launch.
3.
The lady's counting down our 5-minute timer.
Oh, okay.
Now we've been on the ground a little bit, but you could easily get 10 to 15 minutes out of this thing. But I've been pretty bashful with my throttle. Okay, so we're gonna do a different type of launch. This will just be a hand launch. So as you can see, it's not hard at all. You just have to be patient, which I'm not very patient. This is one basketball court with the hoops. And as you can see, she gets around just fine. Woo, almost my first crash. Okay, now I think let's go see if we damaged it. I think the prop probably popped off. Nope, it didn't pop off. We just can't see from this angle. So we'll just thrust reverse right out of that mess. See, there we go. And then back into the air, as it were before. So guys, as you can see, this Eratix is just a super, super fun plane. Yes, of course, we'd like to get you some footage from flying outside, but at this point, I'm not making any bets that we're gonna have time because the weather is supposed to be terrible all week, and this video is gonna be going out Thursday since it's a new release. And so if you guys are into flying just regular style, what I recommend is go to your middle or your top setting of Expo. And so for us, it's on switch F. So I'll go to the top setting and see if we have enough. This is gonna reduce to 70% rates. And so as you can see, you can still fly it with some level of impunity. It's a lot smoother looking, but you're only getting 70% of your rates and a heck of a lot more Expo. We got 40% Expo at this. So what I wanna do is I wanna just try to bring that nose up and just see if we can really control this thing with those 70% rates. As you can see, it's just really easy to control. And the AS3X has this thing locked in. It's super, super fun to fly in these tight spaces. But I am gonna tell you something, if you're watching me doing this thinking it looks easy, it is fairly easy until you run into a steel post like this. So I'm gonna throttle cut, we'll go ahead and check for damage and see if anything broke free. It looks like the battery might have popped loose from the Velcro. Yep, the first and only victim, and look at our power. Got about 30%. Yeah. So camera crew, would you mind? Mm-hmm. So guys, amazing, amazing power to weight ratio. I feel like if you're gonna be doing true indoor flying, you might wanna get a slower pitch. This is a 945. I would recommend something like a 10.3 and you would get similar top end performance, but you get a lot more low end pop. And this thing needs more wind across the surface if you're gonna be doing just strictly indoor flight. You notice that I switched my battery leads, but just be aware, you don't want those to be able to get up into your prop and then get caught. That would be a very devastating way to end your day. And then I also wanna talk about the wheel pant that I broke, just so you guys can see kind of the damage. I'm also noticing that it's a little tricky to hold that strap because it's hard to wrap your hands around it, but definitely not unmanageable. Now you can see I broke this. So that's nothing that foam to foam can't fix, or a little CA. In fact, I'm just gonna finish the job for today, and I'll put that in my pocket and reattach it. And as you can see, this thing is just a real looker, but you don't have tons of setup time on it, which is really nice. And so for that reason, I would suggest you watch the Unbox Build radio setup if you're curious to see how well it went together. And the biggest problem we had was the screwdriver tip. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fly until we get a low voltage warning or I get nervous. So do you wanna fly from the living room area here?
Okay.
Let's double check our components before we go back to it. Everything is working. As you can see, just an incredible amount of throws, and throttle cuts off. Let's see what we get out of this. Always check your prop. You see how it's square, and look at the tip as it spins. If it's not square, then you probably have an issue you need to resolve, because remember, this is only held on by an O-ring. Okay, so far so good. We're definitely good still. It's obviously flying great. And as you can see, it's not too bad. And what I wanna do is I wanna just take it down, and I'm gonna go back to our kind of 3D mode again. Now you could switch that in air, but again, this is just a skill thing now, not an airplane thing. And I wanna bring this thing over. And going between those posts is the hardest part of flying in here. I did not expect that. I know this room well, I just don't know how to fly in this room. And as you know, with any prop-driven tractor plane, tractor-driven prop plane, you're gonna have P factor that's predominant in one direction. And so when you make turns that are gonna complement that P factor, and that's why I'm going this direction instead of the contrary. Now, of course, you can go the other direction, but you're gonna have a lot more trouble and a lot more oscillation that comes with it. So definitely feel a little bit on the weak side as I do this. Do you think I should try to catch it at least once? Or is that a no-go?
I don't know. I think you might be able to.
Oh, I'm sure I can. It's just more a matter of, do I want to break it in the meantime? It's definitely not a harder plane to fly, but I would definitely not recommend this as a beginner plane. And so what I would suggest is that if you guys are into having fun and you've got winter ahead of you, because of course here in North America, we are looking at and facing the realities of winter. We have daylight savings pretty much today, or yesterday. It was this morning.
This morning, yeah.
And so, you know, what happens when daylight savings hits? You get home, it's dark, it's windy, it's terrible, and you want to be out flying. Well, this is the perfect choice, because if you had a huge garage, it's like the size of 4 basketball courts, then you should be able to fly this very comfortably. But the other thing that's really cool about this is you can fly it slow in tight spaces, which is nice. And that really opens up the window for really honing your skills in real life. And again, if you get the simulator like a Real Flight Evolution and you fly something like this on it, just bear in mind that there's no consequence when you crash, or it's limited. In real life, you learn faster because your brain actually responds to the pain and suffering and the endorphins you get when you reach successful landings or successful maneuvers and things like that. So you will learn quicker if you fly real planes. But I think a great idea, if you're newer and you really want to get to something like this, would be to try the simulator and get used to using simulators, because it is going to be the ticket to success in addition to a few planes, 2 or 3 starter planes, and you'll be golden. It takes a few years to get good. Now, the other thing is, I want to point out right away, we're flying on an 850 milliamp pack. This is the largest recommended size. They recommended 600 milliamp hours as their primary size. Oh, and it looks like we also broke right here too. So I'll have to reglue that, no big deal. But the thing is, if you guys can get a 600 milliamp hour 3S Gen 2 with an IC2 connector, don't forget the IC2 to IC3 adapter so you can charge it with your whatever charger of your choice, a smart charger of your choice. You do need a smart charger when you're charging smart batteries, technically. So, and I'm not supposed to recommend using a dumb charger and just letting the balance chip do its job at a really low rate. I can't recommend that because then I would get in trouble. So, guys, this thing is super cool. The Eratix is just something special, and I think it's gonna be a neat way for you guys to enjoy the hobby in a different and new way. If you haven't ever done a flat foam plane, this is a super fun one to try. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you want to help support us, buy this thing from the link in the video description below. You'll be supporting us with small contributions that you didn't pay that come to us from the manufacturers. It also helps us to build clout with these manufacturers that we do work with. And so obviously we have the freedom to say this thing is a lemon. I don't think it's a lemon. I think it's really good. I'm not a great pilot with 3D, and I've admitted that before when we've done others, like for instance, the Extra 300, which is an excellent 3D style plane, but this thing should be able to do 3D way better even still, and it does. It performs where that thing is a little bit heavier, and that wants to fly more in formation flight. But this thing does do formation flight if you like that sort of thing and you just want to be able to go real slow, which is super cool. Now, where this thing lacks, I would say, is that it is still a fairly big plane. I feel like there's no LEDs. You don't really need LEDs on this, but I think LEDs would be a super cool factor. And I think you should be able to add LEDs yourself. It's very easy. There's lots of easy access to the different additional ports here. I also feel like having flaperons and flaps is really just sort of a no-brainer on planes, except for in this type of plane. It doesn't really add much to the equation because of the very huge ailerons. You're not going to be able to do that much with it. But if you decided to do it, it's definitely doable because you can stick another servo and you could actually separate and do 2 different armatures. One armature here, one armature there. And there's no reason you can't either swap out this, jailbreak this back to factory defaults, and then go ahead and set up flaperons. But just keep in mind, when you do set up all that stuff, throw in a little thrust reverse if you want to get some crazy action in there. I'm not going to be able to really take advantage of it because my skills prohibit it. But when I'm outside with this thing, I'll be able to come in and do, you know, practically flying backward with thrust reverse because there's enough power coming from this. So I'm super excited to try those things. But again, Mother Nature was not cooperative. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Buy them from the links. Stay tuned. If you haven't checked out the unbox build radio setup, we have that available. We always publish that 1 minute before the Maiden flights. So hopefully this answers some of your questions about the Eratix, and leave your comments and questions down below. Don't forget to click the bell for notifications. And if you haven't subscribed, obviously do that. It'll help us with the algorithm on YouTube. So thanks for watching. Come back for more.